Hey there, it's Amy from beingamytheblog.com, and I am here again to talk to you about things that make me a happier person in this world. And so today is Earth Day. Happy Earth Day. I hope you do something to honor the earth today. I'm planning on putting in a bunch of vegetables in my vegetable garden, hence my gardening hat. So this morning, the kids are out of school, and so I thought, well, I'll spend some time and I'll make them a nice breakfast. And so I decided I was going to try to make homemade hash browns, and I was going to make some bacon that we got from we get a delivery of meat every month, and so we had some cuts that I could cut into bacon. And then I scrambled some eggs that we got from our chickens, and I made up a kind of a big breakfast. And my kids, true to form, didn't eat the hash browns or the bacon. Now, I admit the bacon was a little weird because I'm not even sure that was the right cut I was supposed to use for bacon. It didn't really taste like bacon, and you have to cut it yourself, so I didn't cut it very thin. So that was a little, different for them. But the hash browns I thought were pretty good. I mean, I peeled the potatoes, I grated everything, I fried it. I thought they came out pretty good, but only my son ate the hash browns. And the reason I'm telling this story is because I want to talk about this concept that I'm sure you've heard and that many people talk about in self-help circles called acceptance. So acceptance is really something that I hadn't really, I don't know that I've really spent a ton of time thinking about up until recently. But recently, acceptance, the act of accepting what is, has been pretty profound in my life. And it's changed a lot of things for me. So this morning, I mean, I was kind of bummed that they didn't eat the hash browns. But what can you do? They didn't like them. So instead of pushing up against that, and I did give them a little guilt trip. I did detail all the work it took me to make the hash browns. But instead of being legitimately frustrated about it, I decided to accept it because really there's not much I can do about it. I mean, I could in the future try a different recipe, or actually following a recipe to make hash browns, and maybe they'll turn out more delicious. But other than that, I mean, it's really kind of a waste of time because it's this expectation that things should be different than they are, and they're not. And so I wanted to share another example of that. One thing that has been bugging me for years, ever since my mom died, and that's been, it'll be 13 years, I believe, now. So it's been bugging me for a while, is that my dad, he's terrible at remembering important dates like birthdays, in particular, the birthdays of my children. And so every year I've had to send him a text or remind him about birthdays. And my twins turned 13, which is a pretty, I think, pretty important, significant milestone in their lives. And they turned that in February, late February. And this time I was like, I'm not going to send him a text. I'm just going to see, if he does it. Well, 2 days before their birthday, still no card from Grandpa. And I decide I'm going to send him a text. So I sent him a text. Hey, guess what? The twins are turning 13, big day in a couple days. Did you send a card? No, he forgot. And so for a while I was legit frustrated about that. I was pretty angry about that. And I was thinking of all these things, I was going to do or say, sort of like, you know what, guess what? I'm not going to remember your birthday. I'm not going to send you a card. If you can't remember my kids' birthdays, then, I'm not going to bother remembering yours. Or I'm not going to send you anything or acknowledge um, and, I considered that as a strategy. I considered, being angry at him and calling him and sharing why I was angry at him. And then I don't know what happened, but I just had this insight that maybe I should just let it go. Maybe I should just allow him not to ever remember a birthday. And maybe I should just text him every time there's someone's birthday that I want him to acknowledge. Because if I text him and give him enough time, he'll send a card. And instead of coming up with all these stories and filling myself with, the emotions of resentment and anger and, perseverating on that, why not just fucking let him be who he is, a guy who lost his wife 13 years ago, whose wife used to handle all that. My mom would never forget a birthday. She was that person who always remembered birthdays. And, part of my frustration with my dad, I think, is just really just resisting the fact that my mom's gone and, expecting him to step up in a way that's just not in his DNA. So it's sort of pushing up against a reality that will never be. And so why not just allow him to be that guy and remind him with love, when it's time to acknowledge someone's birthday or not, and just allow him not to remember birthdays either way. But what I choose to do is I do choose to text him and give him enough heads up to remember all the birthdays, because it's not just my kids, it's my sisters and my husband and just all the people. And, I choose not to make up a story about him being, having some character defect or being incredibly selfish, which are stories that I used to make up. But just make up, just have compassion and just send him love and send him a text. And you know what? That feels so much better to me. That feels like love. And so I wanted to share with you this idea of resistance. Another way that this idea of acceptance, which is giving up resistance against things we can't really control. And so another one is my husband. He's really wrapped up in baseball, like little league stuff. And honestly, it can drive me a little batty. But what I've been doing lately is just using that as another way to practice acceptance, right? And sending love and not just, I think a lot of my frustration and anger over the years has really just been in trying to control things, trying to control people, making up stories about how people should behave, or a script, right? How people should behave. And then, seeing that they don't, and then getting frustrated. And so the idea of acceptance has really been sinking in with me lately. I know that I'm a coach and I teach the work by Byron Katie, which is a fantastic tool to, to work with our thoughts and the stories that we create and the shoulds that we put on ourselves and the shoulds that we put on other people, and sort of a wonderful tool to neutralize that. So if you're not familiar with Byron Katie's The Work, please check it out. I think some people might have issues with that modality because it can be used as a way to bypass, I think, a lot of things. And as long as you're not doing that, right? As long as you're using the tool responsibly, it's a fantastic tool. So let's not throw the baby out with the bathwater. But I have to say that over the past several weeks or maybe months, the idea of acceptance has taken it on a new level with me, where I have really realized how much I push against certain things, and the freedom and really the love and compassion that comes from just accepting people and letting them be who they are, and showing them love and really just chilling out about things. So that's my insight for today, all about acceptance. If you like this video, please give it a like. I love your comments. I love your shares. And I hope that you have a wonderful week. And how can you accept something that you've been resisting this week? That is my question for you, and I'd love to hear how that goes. Take care. It's Amy from beingamytheblog.com.